I'm Chris Pontiroli, and I help English learners become English speakers. This Sunday is Sunday for interviews, and I'm thrilled to share this interview that I recorded a few weeks ago with one of my most wonderful students. We met, actually, I know him since he was born. The story is quite funny. His parents wanted me to teach him English, and I refused. I refused for several years because, as you all know, I don't teach children. And the fact was that the parents were very, and there was a point where I was like between a rock and a hard place. I just felt that I couldn't say no. So actually, this was kind of an experiment. But in this case, this kid was very young when we started. I think he was 8 years old or 9. And we went through an incredible process because at the beginning I had forgotten how to even teach kids. I had done that in Barcelona when I was, but never again. And so there I was, and there he was, and we met, and we tried to make it work. And it's quite an emotional interview for me because now we've come to a process where he's finishing high school. He's fully bilingual person, in my view. And the work we have done together has gone through very different stages. He's an amazing person. He was my youngest student for a long time. And I'm thrilled to share this interview with all of you. I hope that it inspires you. It tells you about the power of being persistent, and more than anything, listen to a wonderful young man who has dreams, hopes, and he wants to achieve great things. So please enjoy it.
My first kind of like distant memory that I have, I don't exactly remember how old I was. Must be around, of course, you met me when I was almost born. Like, I cannot physically remember
Oh,
that, but I remember kind of like a distant memory when I was around 8 years old, perhaps 8 or 9. And I remember you brought all your daughter, and I think that you did like a class with Nico, and I remained in the living room playing with Oli. And that was kind of like the first memory that I have from meeting each other. But then, of course, we had around what 2016, 2017, 2015 even. I don't remember that very well. The first class when I was around 10. Yeah, I think. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure.
yeah, maybe because I mean, I just remember that your dad wanted me to be your teacher, and you know that I kept saying like, no. Well, actually, that happened with your bro as well. I mean, I felt that no, no way. I teach adults. I cannot
Mm.
teach kids. I of course I
Yeah.
had done that way back in the day, but I mean, never again. And it was such a challenge for me. And I
Definitely.
actually didn't want to do it, but
Hmm.
your dad kind of pushed me to do it. And I started with Nico, and that was, of course, quite challenging. But then there was you, and you were even younger. And I guess that you started like a year later.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, we've come a long way, and now we're closing a process because you have taken your
Hmm.
IELTS and you are ready to go. I mean, you're graduating high school and you're getting ready to go into college. So that's why
Yeah.
you have taken IELTS with flying colors, I should say, which makes me very
Hmm.
proud. Or
Hmm.
how did we find things in common to make this relationship kind of stand the test of time?
I mean, we started out as having this just normal. Of course, it was slightly different because it was a one-on-one class, but it started out as a just simple relationship of student to teacher. But throughout time, we developed a friendship. Definitely, it had some big changes, especially with quarantine in 2020 with COVID. Uh, until that time, it was physical class, and then we changed and we kept the online format, and that definitely, I want to say, perhaps a little bit difficult, but also different, uh, less approachable in some ways. But I mean, we started out going more by the book, literally. We started with a little book that I don't remember the name. I remember it had like the floating heads. I just
Yeah,
remember that.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that was a challenge to choose a book that
Yeah.
you would actually kind of enjoy
Hmm.
and so on. And I don't know how much of the book we actually did. I don't think that we did
Yeah.
much.
Not a
Yeah,
lot.
it
Not a
was more
lot.
YouTube and like
And other
dancing
things. Yeah.
videos and stuff like that,
Hmm.
remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it started out like that, and then we developed other practices. Of course, a lot of talking that was constant throughout the years. Just like 20, 30 minutes at the beginning of talking, what did you do yesterday? How was the week going? And of course, later on developed into what movies did you watch last week? Um, but yeah, it went more into a more experimental phase in which we were dancing, we were singing, we were watching videos, even movies. We kind of went into a more alternative way, and that made it more fun to have class, to have English class. And I definitely can say that I learned a lot more than I learned with the traditional form of English school, with the book. And yeah, and well, after quarantine, it transformed into even more talking because in such a difficult moment, a human connection into of just talking about what's happening, the thoughts of what's going on with the world, like watching BBC news, like the 1 minute short videos,
Oh, I had forgotten that.
and
That's right.
yeah, and yeah, and it just kept on going like that. And eventually, it was with my rising passion for film, we started talking more about films, and that remained until present a
Yes, until
constant
now.
topic of discussion.
Let me take you back a little because I mean you reminded me what I try to do because you mentioned dancing and perhaps that sounds
Hmm.
weird to our audience and I just like want to explain that. I felt that I needed to engage you not only from like an intellectual point of view, but I thought that if your body was engaged in what we were doing and you were like fully in it would be much easier to actually connect. And what I always tried to do with you was to try to find a point of connection, which I guess that is one of the most wonderful things that have happened is that as you have gotten older, we have found different points where we have connected and where we are
Yeah.
today. I remember that back then when you say we were dancing, I mean, we used to actually challenge each other with a song. Like I would give you a song from like kind of my time, like disco or
Hmm.
something kind of more popish. And you would bring some more Drake or hip hop. Do you remember that? And every
Yeah.
week, one of us had to choose what to do, and we both had to dance to it. It was that was great. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then we found, of course, and then we found the movies, film. But mostly, I think that I have learned a lot from you and from your vision of cinema, and particularly how English, as a way of communicating, has connected with this passion of yours, and which
Mhm.
what you eventually probably will do in the future.
I mean, English opened for me new opportunities. For example, now I already did 2 summer camps in the United States. And because of working with you into bettering my English, that has helped me into going to an entirely English community like it's the States and developing incredible friendships with people that only speak English and also being able to understand fully the different aspects of filmmaking by the teachings of different directors and teachers that's entirely as well in English and just being able to connect more with the art that predominantly it's English spoken as it is in Hollywood. So definitely it helped me a lot into having a better relationship with the art, with the craft, and to be able to explore new frontiers and venture myself into different situations that are not very comfortable, like being throughout 3 weeks only speaking English. That is not a very comfortable situation for me, but by learning with you and learning, of course, as well from watching films, that helped me into being a better English speaking person and being able to foster relationships with persons that only speak that language.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? I mean, you mentioned discomfort or like not being totally comfortable because of course it's not your first language, however, still being able to establish relationships. So find new courage to do that. Did you think about it? Were you at any time kind of scared of talking to others? I understand that you are an open person and you are extroverted and so on, but for example, that first day in camp where you knew that you had to introduce yourself and you had to speak to these people that were mainly Americans, and there you were. What were your thoughts at that moment? And was there any point where you kind of doubted or you felt bad? Or what happened at night? Did you feel actually good because of what you were doing? What happened then? Do you remember your feelings?
Yeah, I mean, every time that I arrived to camp, I had to introduce myself. I had to talk in English. I had to get myself used to doing that. I definitely had a sense of nervousness because you're getting out there, you're opening yourself to other people in a language that's not your language of nature. And it's definitely difficult, like matching the same rhythm and speed that the other people are talking. Yeah, I mean, I was nervous, I was a little bit scared of not being able to get my ideas through with the language, especially in film, which is like a very collaborative form of art. Yeah, most definitely it was difficult, but little by little you're getting used to it. You understand that people are actually impressed with your level of English as being a
That's what
foreigner.
so how is that like a booster of confidence for
Yeah,
you?
definitely. I mean, most of the times your level of English, at least from my experience, is extremely good for people from the States. I mean, sometimes, at least myself, I got the perception that I don't talk at a good enough level for them to understand me or to get my ideas to be understood. But at the end, I've always received the commentary of like, have you lived in the States? How do you talk so good English? I mean, I don't even have a even similar level of Spanish. They are asking me like, wow, you really talk really good English. I mean, at some points I even confuse you by an American accent. It's definitely a confidence booster. And that just shows you that a lot of times it's just your self-perception of how you talk.
So what are the next steps? Can I say that I'm very proud of your IELTS? Your exam was incredible. You know, we did
Thank you.
prepare for it, but you did an incredible job.
Thank
So
you.
now that is actually the kind of the entrance ticket to college.
Mhm.
So can you tell us about your next steps?
So my plans are not very solid yet. I got some options, but one option is, and I think that's the one that I'm probably going to go by, is to next year I'm going to be working, just doing a whole year of working in different places around the world in different, maybe different production companies, distribution companies, being on some sets and just acquiring experience at the same time as I apply to colleges in the States. And from that point, my final decision will be probably around the end of next year, where I'm going to decide I either go to the States to study or I stay here and I study college in Argentina.
Will we see you as a film director eventually in the future?
I mean, you never know. Perhaps yes, or perhaps I go into a different direction. But I only know that film is an enormous passion of mine, and that's probably what I'm going to be working at in the future.
And what does film mean to you?
It's a complicated question because film is just has so many different aspects that I connect deeply with it. It means to me a form. the most complete form of art, where it's almost every sense is involved with the process of watching a film. It's a medium of telling stories that makes you connect deeply with other humans, with other situations, and makes you explore your own conscious, your identity, and makes you ask yourself questions about almost everything that surrounds you. I mean, from space travel to what I want to do in the future to what is love to everything makes you question everything. And to kind of enter this screen and just be quiet and looking for 2 or 3 hours and just connecting deeply with different persons, as well as the director, actors, and everyone that is involved into creating a project. It's just a very deep connection that you're having with different people, and you're going into the minds of other persons as you watch the film, because at the end, the film, in my opinion, is a way of transmitting what you think and what you love and your opinions and other aspects.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it means to me
sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
no, yeah, but it just means to me that that's a very deep form of art that makes you connect in general with people.
That's the point I wanted to make, that I think that it's another kind of language. I mean, in a way, the point of language is communication, is connection, and it's what we aim at when we start learning a language. And I think that probably through film, the director or the artist does the same. He tries to connect, whether it's with himself, with the world, with humanity, with an audience.
Mhm.
And that's also
Yeah.
what you do when you actually decide that it's your time to learn a new language and start communicating English. So in the end, it's all about connection, I guess. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're gonna do in the future. It's like,
Definitely.
I'm your number one fan, that already. So I'm gonna be there for sure. Facu, well, thank you for this.
Thank you very much. See you too.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I will still say that maybe I have your first interview, so that it's going to be a plus for me. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for this wonderful ride. I mean, of course, I must say that we're not taking classes anymore. We finished with our process with IELTS, and now it's just life that sometimes connects us, and we can talk and share moments. But for me, it's been incredible. I will always be thankful for it. It was an incredible challenge, and I'm very happy how it turned out. That's what I'm going to say. So one more thing, if you had to give advice to people who perhaps are kind of in the middle of a process, or because it doesn't matter what age it is, you're never too old to start. If you had to give some advice about the importance of connecting in another language, what would you say?
I would say that, at least for me, my experience, that is quite short. I found out that having a deep understanding and learning the English language has opened enormous quantity of doors for me, of opportunities to connect with amazing people, opportunities to deepen my understanding in numerous subjects, and to just be all around a better person. Honestly, it has given me incredible opportunities to learn the craft of learning English.
Facu, thank you so much for these moments. I know that you're busy, but I really appreciate you gave me this time. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you to you too.
Until next time. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
You're welcome.
See you next time.
Yes.